So, good morning, everyone. And we would start on the second day of our discussion on Pachuppanna, which is to do with moments and the moment of arising. The moment of arising, lasting, and falling. So, this moment of arising actually refers to the dependent origination, from ignorance to how it all starts with ignorance to formations to consciousness, and leads to name and matter, six senses, feelings to craving, and actually the chain starts to begin. And in this, I'll just take you some of the slides that we did yesterday, just as a reminder. We build a world within us. And how do we build a world within us? It's through desire, hate, and delusion. And how does this desire, hate, and delusion come into play in the first place? Is because of cause and effect. The causes that come by in life, and the actions we take, the decisions that we make in different opinions and in different views. So the cause and effect created in the mind to feed the mind, and with this you arrive at a very interesting concept called consciousness. And when you are consciously aware of certain things, it falls into this pattern, which is the rising of the world. The eye, you get the eye, the visible object, arises visual consciousness. And this visual consciousness is laminated with three things, which is desire, hate, and delusion. So when this consciousness gets laminated with these three things, there's a valuation added. Valued feelings come into play. This valued feelings are one thing, but valued feelings is a complete different thing. Feelings are just pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. But when we have this valuation in our mind, it gives a certain different perspective to everything. We start looking at things in a completely different angle when these valued feelings come into play. So the normal would be visual consciousness and feeling. But when we have valued feeling, then the desire, hate, and delusion comes into play. Okay? And that arises craving, and then craving becomes more and more of grasping.
So there's attachment.
This is where the attachment builds in, not with the visual consciousness, but with the valued feelings. Okay? So in meditation, basically what we are trying to do is separate these two. Which two? What are we trying to separate in Vipassana?
The valued feelings,
right,
from the visual consciousness?
Exactly. That's what we are trying to do. Vipassana is about this separation. Now, samatha is about just calming your mind and calming your body. Remember the muddy water in the pond? If you have muddy water, you'll never be able to see through things. So what samatha does is actually basically calm you down first. And then what vipassana does is, vipassana is the thing which gives you this analytical mind. Now, what are we going to analyze in the first place? We are going to separate the consciousness, the visual consciousness, from the value that we are adding for feelings. That's what we are trying to separate. And when these value-added feelings come into play with craving, grasping, becoming, then we have this aura body creation of becoming. So we produce energy within us, lustrous energy, or hatred energy, or energy filled with delusion. And then it looks a little bit like this. The aura body formation, and with the aura body formation, of course, the dependent origination is always there. Ignorance, formations, collected information through formations, build up consciousness, knowingness, and name and matter starts to form with the aura body. And aura body takes its shape with the 6 senses based cells begin to formulate. And when the 6 senses are formed, it doesn't just wait. It always contacts something. It always is in contact with different things, like eye and sight.
So it's always in motion, it's always energy.
Yes, it's always in motion. You always see things, hear things, smell things, taste things, touch things. And if you're not doing with these 5 senses, you're actually touching things from your mind through thoughts, right? So it's always a continuation of doing so many things. And then you have feelings connected to that. And these 3 feelings of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral stains itself by desire, hate, and lust. Then you have value-added feelings, which arises craving, and more of craving becomes grasping, and then becoming of that, what you so long to be, and then that arises birth. Birth finally has decay, slowly falling apart, and then finally death. And in the moments of death again, we cling to all our attachments, which gives ignorance, and then this circle forms. Okay? If you want this presentation, if you want the slides of it, I can email it to you. That's why I want the emails. And also future details, I can send it to you. Right? And then we discussed that we need to see that it's burning. First we need to identify what is burning. If we don't acknowledge the fact that this burns, we will never be able to put out the flames. And we need to see how the visual consciousness is burning, how the consciousness of sound is burning, how the consciousness of taste starts to burn, how the consciousness of smell starts to burn, touch starts to burn, and thoughts starts to burn. So it burns with the fire of desire, hate, and delusion. And how do we actually solve the effect of this idea? With another set of ideas. And that gives us this. You see these flowers, the 3 flowers I put in. Actually, they're photos we took last time. Somehow got deleted. Remember?
Yeah.
So I put in this. You see, one is just a bud and one is just trying to open up, and then there's one fully opened. So you need to identify this process in your mind. How the feelings starts arising then it lasts for some time, and when it lasts for some time, that's where we make decisions. And then when everything starts to fall apart, we're so worried that this thing will be away from us, gone from us, that we start clinging at this point. And with ignorance, we start all over again. So we need to identify in meditation moments, passing moments in your thoughts, basically. And now today yesterday we were talking about the body and feeling. Now today we are talking about the consciousness of thoughts and consciousness of perception. So these are two major points. Thoughts, which connects to the consciousness of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. Before, with the body, we spoke about eye, ear, nose, tongue, body basically, and mind. Now we are talking about with our thoughts, the consciousness of sight, consciousness of sound. Before, we spoke about how we give a valuation, valued idea, valued thoughts on eyes. Basically, if we lost our eye, and how we value our eyes so much, how we value our ears so much, how we value our nose, our tongue, our body, our mind. And when we have desire come into play with this, we crave for another body, life after life. We crave for another body, life after life. And that is to do with interweaving with feelings. Feelings of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral comes into play. And then we discussed how these feelings get stained with desire, hate, and delusion. And now today we are talking about thoughts, the consciousness of thoughts, and consciousness of sight, consciousness of sound, consciousness of smell. If we have eyes, still it's not enough. We need sight as well. We need to be able to see. And for an example, some loved person who is away from us, maybe in another country or another state, and we can hear their voices, but we long to see them, the sight of them. Or it could be that we see them, but we long to speak to them, hear their voice, the sound. We get attached to the sound. We get attached to the sight. We get attached to smells. Have you ever had this fruit called durian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, it smells so horrible. But they say, I've also tasted it, it's actually extremely sweet and very nice. But because of the it's because of the very strong smell. This smell is so strong, it seems like it's not so good.
No, it's not. If you transport it in a car, it's going to take you days after it to get out of it.
Yeah.
But it does taste very, very nice.
Yeah, but if you actually taste it, it's very nice. So with the smells, we reject something which is healthy and very good. Because when we are attached to certain types of smells, we only look for certain types of smell and we disengage from the other. And when you take taste, also same scenario. We love to have certain types of food, and we completely reject certain types. Touch is also the same thing. And thoughts, very importantly. The consciousness of thoughts. And certain things, we have thoughts of certain incidents. And then we reject certain and we take in certain. So this also the consciousness of thoughts gets laminated by these three things: lust, hate, and delusion. Lust arises, lasts, falls. Hate arises, lasts, falls. Then delusion arises, lasts, falls. Now, in meditation, what you do is you need to try to find out this process, how it begins. Through the six senses, contact of the six senses, feeling of the six senses, and what you have, the valued feeling that you attach these six senses to. You give a valuation for what? Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. And then you basically have valued feelings. And then valued craving becomes valued grasping, becoming, and birth and decay starts to fall down. You need to analyze this process in meditation. This is deep meditation. First, you calm yourself, everything, and then you practice further on. You try to analyze how the mind, through the consciousness, you get attached to different things. And can you actually keep them? Thoughts at the moment arises, lasts, and falls because of the laminations. And you need to know for yourself how you actually get attached to sight and the feeling of lust. When you don't have it, the feeling of agitation, the feeling of not feeling good, the feeling of anger, the feeling of hate, how this builds in you. And then that is because of the delusion that you have. That me, myself, and all for myself, and I can keep whatever I feel for myself.
Can I ask you a question? Just because I read it before, it's not really like binary, right? I mean, like there's not like a good and a bad thing in a way. It's like you're not aesthetic to all of aspects of your life, to all the desires that you have, right? I mean, it's part of being human, sort of, to, I don't know, I have the desire to eat maybe, or I have the desire
yes.
to I don't know, be connected to people or to mate or to, you know, so part of it, I guess, is part of our definition of being human.
Yes, you have four basic things, which is you need food, you need medication, and you need shelter, and you need clothing. Apart from these four basic things, everything that we get attached to with desire brings us suffering in the end.
But we're willing to accept it.
If you want to still suffer and be, yes.
I mean, there's the whole thing about human relations, right? I mean, if you put human relations or connectedness or the reason why people get married or be together, just have.
Yeah, but can it last? That's the whole problem.
Last, but we're still doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to find the answers for.
That's the thing. What I mean about like not being binary, right? It's not like either like you do it and you're lost, or you don't do it and you're safe, right? It's like we're still all doing it because we yearn for connection.
We are still doing it because of the ignorance, because we are thinking that maybe this will give me the satisfaction I so long for. But then again, we are facing with suffering. And then again, we build on another relationship thinking that maybe this will work out. And then when that falls down, even with death, when it falls down, say you had a wonderful relationship for 50 years, and then even with death we part. And that is suffering.
But the funny thing, because like there, you know, I don't know if you know this Harvard study that has been done since 100 years now, where they measure everything about everybody and trying to understand life, essentially. And so there were precedents in it, and people who were just regular workers and so on. And they try to figure out like what really makes people on the one side, most satisfied with their life and also contribute to a long life. And the one thing that they could boil it down was meaningful relations. Putting it into an aspect of to say like, we're social animals, we kind of need these interactions with other people. And if they're meaningful, that gives us the most satisfaction.
Yeah, that's true, but that only also lasts for a time.
That might be, yes.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And that's the thing, like, even if it only lasts for a certain time and it basically means that there's going to be suffering, isn't it better than to accept the fact that I might suffer at some point, but the
but
time
what
that
if,
I'm not suffering, I'm getting so much more out of it that it's worth pursuing anyways.
but what if there was an answer to have complete happiness without the suffering and without the attachment of a relationship? What if there was? And that is what we're talking about. Okay?
If
Because,
sorry.
yeah, sorry, you can
If
say.
that's that same study, it may have, because I've heard that also,
Yeah.
but I've heard a different version of it, that yes, relationships is one,
Yeah.
supportive relationship was the
Yeah.
wording. The other one was a relationship with spirit, of a spiritual relationship of some sort, for whether people believe in God, whether people follow the Dhamma, etc. I mean, they had this study being done like that, and also people having a balanced life. So it wasn't all set on relationships, not as in personal relationships per se. It was like a balance of various things. But also one big thing that what they have done in this is that they had a spiritual relationship of some sort, something that fulfilled them from within and not from without. So, I mean, it may have been a different study, but yeah, it's something we've discussed before in a different manner also, so you had this different aspect to it.
And even this fulfilling relationship, which is going to last for 50 years, does not last exactly the same way for every day, 24/7, 365 days in the same content.
I thought always that it's kind of like part of the Taoistic way of thinking about it is that it's part of life.
It is part of life, that is very true, but life itself is suffering.
Yeah, but then isn't it in order to accept it, to be happy about the good times that I have and to accept the bad times that I have?
But that is also a temporary solution in the long run. That's the problem. You know, when you take a puzzle, when you identify one piece, and then when one piece fits together, we think that, oh, this is the only thing. But that is as long as you don't see the whole picture. You think that this part, we only tend to think that this part fits together, but we haven't really made the puzzle. If we see that there are more things that needs to be made, then the perspective of it changes completely. We are in Dhamma, we try to look at everything, because the problem is the short term will give temporary answers, which leads into another suffering, which leads into another suffering, because it arises, the good arises, lasts for some time, and it starts to fall. And when it starts to fall, we suffer like nothing. Say, for an example, we have a very, very good relationship, okay? Someone's here and I'm married to him. Very good relationship, okay? And then something happens in the middle of it, and I get some sickness, or somebody comes and stabs me. And they were wanting to get him, you know, because they couldn't get him. What they did was they stabbed me, because that would hurt him even more than actually losing his own life. Because now he's living in suffering for the next 20 years, away, apart from the most dear or loving person that he basically had this fantastic relationship with. You see, this relationship, or the love that was there, the good relationship, lasted for some time, but it always has a decline. The decrease comes in the in a way that we least expect it. And when that happens, this person suffers like nothing. See, that's what we are trying to stop in Dhamma. This suffering for this person and suffering for this person. And this person could be, attached to be born in some other place. For an example, say this person did a lot of meritorious deeds and suddenly was reincarnated or had another life in a Deva world. And they see this person suffering. So he suffers and she suffers anyway. See how this goes in samsara. This goes life after life after life. The problem is when we first got attached to each other, we think that this life is so nice and so good. And it is true. It is true. It's not that it's not true. It is true. But the problem is this doesn't last.
Yeah, but to some extent, I mean, like, the reason why you're here and you can give this talk is because there were two people who loved each other who made you. And I mean, the sole reason for your existence is the fact that there were two people who actually decided to spend their life together to some extent.
Yeah, but
so the thing, if you say like we shouldn't get attached to other people, then would it basically mean extinction? Or I mean, that's
it will never be extinction, because the problem is each of us have different karma. The way I think is different from the way he thinks and she thinks. And his set of karmic background is completely different from my karmic background. So I might choose the way, no, I can't have all of these things. And I need the temporary, even if it's temporary, it's fine. As long as I can, temporarily be satisfied. And I might choose something else. And he might think that, oh, wait a minute, this I have been doing for I don't know how many millions of times. And I really want to end this now. And then find a complete solution. And he might have to find complete freedom from all suffering. My judgment is different from his judgment. You see, it always varies. So there is no extinction or completely the human race or whatever will ever be wiped off. Everybody will be enlightened. It doesn't happen like that, because the problem is we all think in different patterns. We all have our own opinions. We go through life in different forms. Maybe one is at the end of this circle and one is just in the beginning of it and one is in the middle of it. We never know from where we come. And even in this life, we don't know for how long we have been doing this, or whether we are at the very end of it, or whether actually we are in the beginning of it or middle of it, really.
So judgment varies
because of the karmic effects we have, and on those karmic effects we make new decisions. Now cause and effect gives another cause and effect here.
So judgment is also subjective.
Subjective.
Yeah. Okay.
In another way, we are comparing one relationship to the other. But what if we compare all relationships? All relationships, which seems to be very good, and it could be, but then it goes through a pattern, and then when it starts to decay, fall down, that's when we have the suffering. You can choose either way. You can choose, okay, temporary even, I want to be happy. And I want to be in this relationship, do very good things and still be in this relationship. That's fine. But when you go through that all over again and again and again, then you come to this point of asking yourself, what is this thing called life? What is this thing called attachment? What is this thing called desire? Not all bad. If I'm killing somebody, that's a different thing. We get rid of all the real bad stuff. But then we are in the good frame. We do good things. We are very honest to our partners, whatever. But still bad things fall on us. One gets sick and one dies. One has this problem, that problem, whatever. And then that makes us think, what is life? really about? What if there was a way to completely end the suffering, completely be away from suffering? Then what? Would you choose that, or would you choose temporary? It's a question which needs a lot of thought. But we are here to say that there are two options in life: the temporary and the permanent. Because most of the time, permanent solution is so hidden that it cannot be discovered even. People even don't know that it exists. Yeah, it's questions, if you may.
The purpose of life then is to make experiences so that we can improve our karma.
Yes, you can improve your karma, definitely. And when you improve on the karma, basically you will have more blessings in life and you see the entire story. Okay, let me give you a small example what I'm talking about. Vipassana makes your view broader. That's what it does. If I walk into this room, okay, if I walk into this room and I see this room in one color, which is white, now that is one thing. I'm able to see, but I see everything in one color. And then suddenly I walk into the room and I can see from two colors, black and white. Will that make a difference? From seeing everything in white and seeing everything, now I see in black and white. And then I tell myself, oh, there is a different side to this. Because if a person has only been seeing white all the time, he or she does not understand the difference between the black and white combination. And then suddenly my wisdom becomes more clearer. And then I walk into the room and I see four colors, things in four colors. Then I understand the difference between seeing everything in white, seeing everything in black and white. Then I understand, oh, there's another side to this. This four color combination makes things so different. Wisdom is something like that. The more it grows on us, we have more perspective in life. It opens up the entire picture to us to make decisions. Wisdom is something like that. And Vipassana builds into wisdom. Vipassana is the key which opens the colors to wisdom. Okay?
The color.
The colors. Okay. The different colors. When we see things in all these different colors, we are able to make better judgment of life, in life. It's also something like, I've been thinking about it actually for a couple of days now, just 2-3 days. When we sit near a beach or whatever, you can see the horizon. And we are always told that, even though we see the horizon, it's actually not in one. The sky is up there and the earth is down here, and it will never meet or never be. But if you look at from space, it gives a complete different view. Because from space, the sky is there and the earth is in the center of the sky. So that means space and earth is actually in the same thing. You see? Vipassana is something like that. It takes you out and gives you a complete picture. This complete picture is needed because you start to think differently. You have a broader horizon to think. And we need the Dhamma discussions to be able to see through things. You see? What if you're looking at this? Because we are inside here, we always think of the earth like this and the sky like this. But when we are looking from here, this is all part of one.
So everything is one.
Everything is one. Earth is in space, and space belongs to earth also. You see? But when we're looking at from a different angle, we always separate these two things and think that, this will never reach here or this will never reach here. But in a different angle, this becomes completely a different thing. It's like that. We need to see things differently as for its real purpose, as for its real thing. Okay, so laminations in lust, hate, and delusion. Valued and desired feelings gives you valued and desired cravings, and valued, desired grasping, valued, desired becoming, birth, and desired, the valued thing, which is with desire, suddenly starts to decay and death happens. And valued, created for the world with ignorance, values which are created for the world, which means ignorance, thoughts, and then you have the valued, desired consciousness, which leads into name and matter, and the sixth sense based and desired contact gives you valued and desired feelings. So this chain runs again with the consciousness of sight, consciousness of sound, consciousness of smell, consciousness of touch, consciousness of thought. So for the consciousness of the six senses, basically, this entire valued, desired chain keeps running. And it has the same thing, same way with hate. Okay? And then again, same thing with delusion. Okay? So these three cycles keeps running. And it runs so fast in our mind that after we get attached to things, only we realize, oh my gosh, how attached am I to this person or this place or this feeling or this music or this sound, this taste, this sight, this smell. Because it runs so fast in our mind, we are unaware of it. We don't even notice it because of the ignorance, really. Okay? And by the cessation of the world, the ceasing of the world, the feeling, we identify the feeling and break the chain of the feeling. We identify craving and break the chain of craving. We identify grasping, how we grasp on things, and break the chain. Then becoming, birth is broken, six senses are broken. That of course means that we can see, we can smell, we can taste, we can touch, but the desire, the hate and delusion are being taken away with the meditation of moments and passing moments for thoughts. And then, this is an interesting one, perception. How do we perceive things? You understanding what I'm saying, right? The perception. Okay, perception of things. decisions regarding individuals we make because of the perception that we have, the way we look at things, of different situations in life, the perception that we have towards life, all material things basically, and how we perceive them. Cultures, everything that you can think of falls into the category consciously perceiving something. We are conscious of it, and we are thinking, oh, this should be this should be this. For an example, coming from Sri Lanka, I could think that Sri Lankan tea is the best tea. But that is only a perception in the mind. Sometimes Germany might have better tea. Who knows? But I have a perception that this is the best and this is the good thing. But perception also starts changing. Laminated with lust, hate and delusion. This also arises, lasts and starts falling. The perception that we have on different individuals creates, sometimes, not every time, but sometimes it's laminated with lust, hate and delusion. And these feelings arise, last and falls. Different situations in life, and we perceive things differently. Sometimes we are right and sometimes we are wrong. And when we are right, we get attached to the right, and when we are wrong, we get very angry with the wrong feelings. And that is because of the delusion that we have of me and myself. So perception, this is also quite interesting. The six senses, when we talk about the six senses, the perception touches mind. It's through the mind that we perceive things. And contact is made to the mind directly. Perception in the mind, the contact with the thoughts and perceived things. Then arises feeling. More craving for it, grasping, becoming, birth and decay. This also has a perception at the very moment. Arises, falls, lasts and falls, laminated with lust, hate and delusion. Now, when we take normal perception, we think about, oh, this tea is hot, this tea is cold, or whatever. Perception in that sense is fine. But when we go and laminate it with lust, hate and delusion, that becomes something else. This is my tea, which is hot. This is my coffee, which is hot. I need my coffee in this way. I need my tea in this way. Like and dislike is one thing, but desire for, attachment for it becomes something completely different. And perception also in the mind attaches with desire and builds this circle. Value added perception. Then it becomes value added hate, which becomes value added delusion. So, in meditation, we calm ourselves down because we need to analyze the mind and how the mind perceives things. I was saying, in meditation, we first do the breathing and we just concentrate only on the breathing. When we start concentrating only on the breathing, then what happens is slowly our water gets cleared in the mind, basically. Our mind gets cleared. And then we can see how the thoughts come in and how we attach ourselves with perception, different perceptions. for individuals, places, jobs, cultures, cities, countries. We perceive things in different ways. And then this perception becomes desire, hate, and delusion, filled with desire, hate, and delusion. So, in meditation, what we need to do is we need to identify the mind and how the perception builds in through contact, feeling, craving, grasping, becoming, and birth. And then when we identify this and we take off the desire, hate, and delusion, we break the contact of desire. We break the contact of feeling hate, feeling delusion, feeling desire. We break the contact with craving. We break the contact with grasping. Then no becoming and no birth. And then this ignorance is broken, formation is broken, consciousness, name and matter, 6 senses. Slowly this starts breaking. Death and decay starts breaking, and then when there's no more desire with ignorance, this breaks. Okay? Moment to moment craving, what does it give us? Kama tanha, craving for sensual desire. Moment to moment, when you have this desire within you, it attaches you to sensual desires. And when we are attached to sensual desires moment to moment, we want it for another hour, another day, another week, another month, another year, and then the years become another lifetime. So, from Kama Tanha, it builds to Bhava Tanha, which means I want it, I want this, I want the feeling, I want valued feeling to last for another month, another year, half of my life, quarter of my life, for the rest of my life. That is Bhava Tanha. And then that Bhava Tanha goes to another part, which is this life was not really enough. Remember my example with my loved one? So I died and he was left with so much of pain and sorrow. Now he wants me back and I want him back in another lifetime.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what happens. And yeah, somebody else has also come for the discussion. So this life, basically, because we had such a beautiful relationship and it was suddenly taken away from us. Now this life is very difficult to go through. But both of us, in maybe different planets, we're hoping for the same thing. Hoping to meet this person again. And then, say for an example, something happened. I'll give you a few moments to write down your thoughts. You want to write down?
Tanha is cravings.
Tanha means craving.
Okay.
But 3 angles of craving, 3 stages of craving.
Moment to moment, because it's the name of the discussion. Okay.
And moment to moment only you get yourself attached to the first one. But then first one builds to the second one builds you to the third one.
And these are all, we're now in the perception part.
Perception part, yeah.
It's all about feelings.
Feelings, yes, I will connect this to all the others.
Okay.
And then what happens in my story, So one is living here in planet Earth, we'll call it, okay? And the other person has died and moved on to a different planet, but still maybe they can see. There's a way of seeing as well. You see this person suffering, and then you want to be with this person and he wants to be with you. But then life passes by and suddenly you come back to planet Earth. He's born in some other country, right? And this person maybe in the same country in a different state. Then what happens? Now we can't remember. We had this past life and whatever happened, nothing is remembered. Just get born as a little baby, and then we have the teen years, and then, coming into age. And then what builds in us? We have this deep-seated thing. This person should be this and this and this and this and this in our mind. Expectation of a certain quality that we expect. But we meet, tens of people, hundreds of people, still searching for that image. We don't know what it is, but we're still attached to this feeling. Actually, this feeling comes from another life, right? But we don't know that now. We don't remember the person. We have no clue about the person. And now we are born here, but still attached to that feeling, still craving for that. It's a good thing, but the problem is when we are attached to that, we keep looking for it. And then we find Anthony, I don't know, okay? And we think that, okay, Anthony seems to match these qualities. And then we are with this person for some time and maybe things don't match up right. And then we are left with this heart, heavy heart. I have this thing in my mind. When will it happen? When will it come? But we don't know that there was this person that we were really, really attached to, but we can't find that person in the same background, the social background that we are in, because he must be there, but in a different state. And he's doing the same thing over there, looking for his so-called ideal person he had this relationship, without even knowing it was this. Now this person, she is Sarah and he is Mark, but until Sarah and Mark meets, this thing goes on and on and on. And if they meet, it's like an ideal match. You see? If they meet, it's like an ideal match. But again, arises, lasts, falls.
So it's only temporary.
Again, it's only temporary. But if you look at it in one side, it's good. It's very good. But again, it's only temporary if you look at the long run.
The long
run.
Big picture.
The big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is how, basically speaking, this is how Kama Tanha builds into Bhava Tanha, and then you start craving, actually wanting another life and another life and another life to experience what you've experienced. So basically we spoke about attraction to the body. And when we get attracted to this, laminated with this, it arises, lasts and falls.
When you say attraction to the body, do you mean attraction to somebody else?
No. I'm talking about this body. Or it could be somebody else as well. Yes. But body, parts of the body. We are only talking about parts of the body. We spoke about this before. I'm just rounding things up for you.
So it's an attachment to our
Yes,
to
attachment.
Our life.
Attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Attachment to eyes, attachment to ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. And this also has the same thing, lust, hate, delusion, arises, lasts and then falls. Okay? And then we discussed how we get attraction towards feelings, pleasant, unpleasant and neutral feelings. and how this gets stained with lust, hate. Delusion arises, lust, and falls. Then, moment to moment attraction to thoughts. Consciousness of sight, consciousness of sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. And through this, we have this. And now we spoke of moment to moment attraction of perception. Okay? Decisions regarding individuals, situations, material things, and cultures, and how we get attached to this. And this, again, it arises, lasts, and falls. So in meditation, what we do is moment to moment re-becoming in different worlds. As I said, because of the attachment we have for perception, because of the attachment and attraction we have towards body, attachment that we have towards feelings, attachment that we have towards thoughts, gives us life in karma loka, world of material formation, hard material formation, worlds of material formation, and rupa loka means worlds of fine material formation, illuminated formations. And arupa loka means mind and energy existence. They don't have things like that here. Hard material or soft material, but the mind energy exists. So re-becoming in different worlds of karma worlds, rupa worlds, and arupa worlds. Basically, these are the three different kinds of worlds that one would be born in, re-become in.
Someone could write that down.
Yeah. And then this.
Okay, thank you very much.
In meditation and in deep meditation, moments to moment, we first take the deep breath and inhale and exhale. Basically, life and death. And in between that, what we call life. And with life, what do we do with life? How do we perceive life? What are the thoughts we are having? What are the feelings we are having? What are the attractions we are having? That we start contemplating. Okay? That is deep vipassana, but to get to that, first we practice the anapanasati, which is the mindfulness in breathing. So, as moments pass by, we do things in life. Now, in meditation, we sit in one place and we analyze this. When we are thorough with it, when we are very good at it, when we do different things, suddenly this comes into mind. Oh, now you're doing this. And are you just doing it, or are you getting attracted to it? Desiring it. Hate. How hate. We identify how our anger builds in, how delusion builds in, how desire builds in, how lust builds in. We identify moment to moment, we can start identifying them. First we identify by seated like this and in meditation, and then we take it to general basic life. In life. Then when somebody says something which is pretty annoying, then we are not only listening to this person, but we are concentrating on our mind as well. How the feeling starts arising, how I feel impatient, little bit angry, little bit annoyed, little bit of agitation, little bit of no, I do not agree with you kind of feeling. And then how this builds up and builds up into hate. We can identify moment to moment how this builds in. And before reacting to that person and blaming that person, we are able to think and then react.
That's how we stop ourselves from hating
Exactly.
the person.
That's how you stop yourself from yes, basically hating, hitting, being violent, abusiveness. And then it goes to all the other things also, craving, wanting, becoming. We see this motion. It's like the rain coming down, and now we can see the little raindrops. Remember? We spoke about that before. Now it becomes something like that. Because we practice this in meditation, then in life in general becomes something extremely interesting. Then it becomes this. Basically, you see things in slow motion in your mind, not from your eyes, but in your mind you start seeing things slow motion. That is because actually you're not seeing things slow motion. That is because your mind is so fast. It becomes so fast. If this is here, if this is the situation, and we are looking at it in this direction, it gives one view. But if the mind becomes very fast, it overtakes this and gives this view, that it becomes something completely different. Just as I said, we are seated here, and when we look at the sky and look at the ground, it's one view. We think this can never touch this. But if we are in space and we look at it, it gives a different view. You see? So how we perceive things becomes more accurate, and then the decisions that we make becomes more accurate, which the decisions that we make, the cause and effect factor, then we can detach from desire, detach from hate, detach from delusion. Created in the mind, we see what is created in the mind. Then we stop feeding the mind with this desire, hate and delusion. Consciousness becomes just consciousness. Consciousness doesn't become value-added consciousness for desire, hate and delusion. We are conscious. We do things, we taste things, we smell things, we hear things, we see things, we know things. But desire, hate and delusion is completely taken off. Much less suffering. Okay? Right. So this is the Dhamma discussion. Moment to moment in your meditation. Actually, this discussion, if you repeatedly go through this and build on meditation little by little, it could be 1 year's meditation. Because slowly you develop yourself and you start seeing clearly. start seeing things in life. We make rush decisions, everything, because we don't see many things. We don't see the big picture. But if we see the big picture, it gives us a different perspective in life. Okay? Yes, questions.
You said we make rash decisions because we don't see the whole picture.
Yeah. And we attach ourselves to either feelings or people, or we attach basically 4 main things. It could be other things, but mainly 4 things. It's either body, it's either feeling, thoughts, or perception.
Body? You said body?
Yeah, body, as we spoke before, I know it's like
body,
that.
Perception, what about it? Body, feelings, and what was the other one?
Body, feeling, thoughts, and perception.
Body,
Feeling,
thoughts, and perception.
perceptions.
Okay.
We attach ourselves into this, and we have a certain idea about things, and we don't want to let go of the idea. That's what happens basically. So if we are given more avenues, more color, then we start seeing things in a completely different way. That is wisdom, which leads to realization.
So how can we make better decisions, and how can we have more of a complete view of something?
Meditation.
Okay.
Meditation. When you start, that's what I said. Meditation from samatha to vipassana. The samatha gives you concentration, and vipassana gives you the insight. When you combine these two, what happens is that you have a combination of did I do this for you guys? Here.
Yeah.
To build samadhi, one way is samatha and the next is vipassana. Samatha means path to concentration. Vipassana is path to wisdom. And how does it become the path to wisdom? Because you start analyzing things. And it becomes it gives you a broader view of things.
Gives us wisdom.
And wisdom brings you realizations. It's always wisdom that brings you realizations.
Insight.
Insight, yes.
Yeah.
Insight.
Wisdom gives us realization.
Yes.
Wow.
What is realizations? What do I mean by realizations? How do you understand that?
Discovery of something new or something important?
Yeah, discovery and also confirmation. Okay. Realization is confirmation. It's something like this. Say for an example, we are in a university and we are learning things. We are being taught about things. Now I'm teaching you things. Okay, you're taking down notes, you're listening to me. Some things you think this may be right, and some things you think, no, I'm not sure about that way, okay? You're learning things, you're taking things in, some things you agree, some things you have a doubt. And then what happens is you go into just normal general life. And then you take these teachings into normal general life. And then some of it starts making sense. Oh, this is what she was talking about. some lady from Sri Lanka came some few years ago. Suddenly it snaps. Oh, this is what she was talking about. Maybe this is, you start to have that in your life. And then one fine day, something happens and you think that, oh, this is exactly this. You have the confirmation of it. And that is when you have the absolute realization in Dhamma. Okay? So it's actually 3 stages. The learning part is 1. Then you have sort of a, okay, this sounds right kind of thing at one stage. And then you have the confirmation of it. That is the realization part. The confirmation for yourself. Not because of somebody telling you it's so, but you yourself realize it, that this is so. It doesn't change. No matter which way, which angle we look at it, it's the truth, because it's the truth of the universe. That's why.
Realization is the
realization
truth.
is the truth of the universe. You realize the universal truth. That's what you realize ultimately. First you're being taught about it. Then you start experiencing regarding the points. And then one day you have the confirmation of it. Okay? For yourself. Okay? Right. Now, I can take some questions if you like.
So by not clinging to life, when we die, are we able to escape the bondage of life, or the cycle? I mean, this circle?
Yes, you can, but that is the very, very extreme of it. But before that, we need to analyze these 4 steps. Body, desire for body, desire for feeling, desire for thoughts, and desire for perception. When we go through that stage, it's like going through the 1-colored room and the 2-colored room, and then you see the 4-colored room.
So it's the desire for these 4 things: body, feelings, thoughts, and perception.
Yeah. Because if you try to take everything in, it doesn't make sense, You take a little kid and tell them to go study in the university. Will that kid understand? He will listen to you, but he wouldn't understand what this is about. So you basically take from one step at a time. And then you're better able to understand the entire concept.
And the reason why we meditate is so that when we get to that point, we're able to have the perception and the insight,
the insight, yes.
The complete
That
picture
is,
to be able
that
to
is
make.
what it's actually made for, but people use it for different purposes. Like as a stress relieving thing, which is also good, to get you out of alcohol maybe. Even but those are the little ones. The big picture is this. You understand? That, because that is only a temporary solution.
So meditation is to help us prepare for the afterlife.
In one way, and then after that it makes you think about all lifetimes.
Okay, I see.
Okay? It's in stages. And you need to take it in stages, because if you try to think about everything, that's not going to help you. You can't be in year grade 5 and think about PhD. Yeah, you need to go through the process. If you go through the process, you will understand it better.
So meditation is kind of to help us prepare for the journey also.
It's basically, I can say it in 3 ways, 3 stages. The first thing is meditation helps a person to be away from the real bad things in life. Okay, that's the very first stage. First of all, you need to sort yourself away from real hatred and real devious things that goes in a person's mind sometimes. Attachment to drugs, alcohol, that type of thing. Addictions. Yeah. And also it helps to sort of be balanced, like get you out of depression, right? So that all falls in the first stage. Now when we advance from there, then we get into the stage of we are good. We don't have basic alcohol addictions or drug addictions, or we are not hating people. We get angry, but we don't go to the extents of hating people, or we are rid of that, and then we come to this stage where we are doing good things and we want the best for somebody and we want the best for ourselves. And then we get into the second stage of meditation, which is relaxing. That's when the samatha starts coming in. And the third stage of meditation is vipassana. That's the deep analytical part. So the second part gives a balance to life. But the third part is analyzing life itself. So you develop yourself in 3 stages.
Vipassana is the third step.
Yeah, that's the deepest one.
And that's the third.
Yeah.
Third step. Analyzing life, reflecting on life.
Yes, analyzing life, reflecting on life, and everything which is in between life, which makes life. So those questions, yes, your views and ideas.
Everybody's shy today.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wondering what's happening.
Maybe the coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
You can argue with me as well. That is also a most welcome. Different views with different points. And then we mukta, how can this be and how can that be?
We don't have Tissa there. You would love to.
Oh yes, if you had Tissa here, you would be arguing about a lot of things.
We can bring Hans upstairs if it helps.
Yes, actually.
That's true.
So, in samatha, there's a sense of calmness, of
Yes,
tranquility.
the calmness.
Okay.
First we build on that. And then slowly we get into vipassana. Because the calmness is much needed. Calmness is the one which will make the mind clear to see, in order to see. Okay. Any questions? Meditation? Anything?
I have another question. Do you want to listen?
Yeah.
So when we meditate, we're able to also get knowledge from past lives? Are we able to?
Yes. That is another deeper version of it. Basically, when you improve yourself to different levels, you remember when we spoke last time also, I was trying to explain, it's like tuning a radio. Okay, when you tune in the channels of the TV even, different frequencies, when you're able to reach different frequencies basically, when your mind becomes super sensitive and super fast really, you're able to see things, because everything that we do runs in a frequency, a level of frequencies. This is all a level of frequencies. This is all connected to different energies and different frequencies. So you're able to touch that frequency, and then you're able to see, just like how the TV works.
So it's connecting to something.
Connecting to frequencies.
Yeah.
How does the TV work? Can Ness explain? It's the frequencies, right?
Well, it's there's diodes in it actually, and they you have a certain frequency actually that triggers which one is off and which is on, and so essentially the alteration of current actually then triggers different parts of it to shine, and they create the image.
This is the same thing which happens with the meditation, when we are able to see through different lifetimes, different frequencies. Through the frequencies you are able to see what we did in different past times. Same way.
Because it's all kind of saved in our...
Not here. It's in the, it's a, I don't know how do you say it? Where it's in the space, or it's in the kind of, through the consciousness, all data is saved with this the frequency level that we have in the atmosphere.
Is it saved in our aura?
The aura gets built through this consciousness, the energy form, yes.
Okay.
But it's the consciousness. Consciousness saves data as well through formations. So ignorance, formations, and consciousness. See, that's the ignorance, the chakra.
Yeah, ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance, formations, and consciousness.
Okay.
Please, I know that you have questions in your mind.
I was just thinking, but there's one thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around, and in a way it's like always said in yoga and meditation of letting go. And I mean, like if you're in the Vipassana meditation and you're discovering things about yourself, there's an, I don't know, in positive psychology also, I mean, there's a concept in a way that essentially you're not thinking about stuff, you're talking out stuff, and by talking stuff out you discover stuff in the same way, sort of like stuff about how you behave, what you do, what your desires are, what you hate. And it has a lot to do with acceptance in a way. In order to change anything, you first have to accept the fact that you are like this, that you have these desires, cravings, that you hate certain things, and from this stage of acceptance you're able to change. So the change is sort of like as a precondition to change, you need to have the acceptance. So I was just wondering, like, if the whole concept of letting go stuff precedes acceptance.
No, it is actually to do everything to do with acceptance, because that's what we do in meditation. First we take the thoughts, take the desires, everything. You first know, accept it, that you have this type of desires, that you have this type of things that you really don't want and you really hate and everything. First you analyze, accept what the issue is really, and then you see the way out of it. You ask yourself basically, why do I desire this? Why do I hate this? Why do I get in this delusion of this? Why? What is the reason? You get to the root cause of problem, the issue rather. And then from the root cause, Now, when you know that you have a desire, and then you start to think, why do I why am I so attracted to this person? Like that, you start working backwards, and that is trying to find the real answers.
Because I mean, like we talked about this yesterday, and I think like that's a big part in it is not trying to seek for something outside yourself. So you have to provide yourself with enough self-love, and that comes through acceptance. And so I
Yes.
think like in order to anything is connected to accepting who you are, with all the desires and flaws and everything that you have.
Yes,
Because no other way is there to change it.
no other way. But then the second step is
change.
then after that to change.
Yeah.
To first you need to identify yourself. That's why this is all based on the world within you, and not the world within outside of you. It's always within you, and the acceptance of who you really are, and what are your likes, your dislikes, your flaws, and everything. You accept it first, and then you categorize it in different ways and get to the root cause of things. And why do you dislike this? Why? What's the reason behind it? And some things are not easy. Some things, because you're constantly wanting to put a bandage over it and plaster over it, and wanting to take it off your mind, because you don't want to open it, because if when you open it, it's a lot of pain that you go through in your mind, and you don't really want to face that, but you need to open it up in order to heal it completely. So this vipassana process is about healing and accepting oneself, and then healing oneself.
So maybe for the next couple of years I'm starting with the acceptance.
Which I always say this in my talks, that in order for us to, if there is a knot and you need to untangle it basically, first you need to see the tangle. You need to see the knot for the knot, and then only you will see how you're going to untangle it. So acceptance is something like that. First you accept yourself and accept the way things are, and then you try to untangle it. Yeah. Maybe acceptance will be another topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the most important one.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, there's like we're all interacting.
Acceptance. Maybe for December or...
Yeah, we're all interacting with society, and I mean, there's a lot of things like how we're supposed to be stuff, and how we're not supposed to be. And I think like getting rid of all the, I don't know, things that we think we should be, and accepting the stuff how we are not complying with anything.
Yeah.
I guess that's.
And also, everybody's telling us this is right and this is wrong, and we just go along with it.
Yeah, yeah. It works.
Not really in others.
There's I don't know. It's a lot about to do with authenticity. I think to discover your authentic self. I mean, there's a lot of.
No.
Sorry.
Very good. Thank you.
America's most brilliant.
Sorry. Try this one. Try this one.
That's why you have that many. Eventually, one of them will work.
Yeah. Sorry. That's hard. Here you go.
There's hope.
Okay. This one works quite well. Sorry.
This is definitely a topic that I would
Yeah.
talk on. That's why we had to take the fifth pen.
Yeah.
And you said
Authenticity and discovering your authentic self. There's a couple of talks already on the internet on this topic, but I think like sometimes for me what this talk that you just gave made, it seems to be sometimes so hard to achieve some stage, and for some people I'm not sure if they even have the willingness. I question myself if I ever want to achieve that state, or if I'm actually drawn to connection and I really enjoy this, and I'm not giving up, The question is like, is there an in-between? Is it not just like either you're not on the right path or you're on the right path, and the in-between maybe is the acceptance? I think that's something everybody can learn, and it's maybe something that promotes already a very good life, even if you're not enlightened at the end. But it's already, I guess it helps a lot of people to accept and to discover their authentic self.
It is by step 1 that you
Yes.
get into step 2. It
Yeah.
is by step 2 that you get into step 3. It's a
Yeah,
progress.
Yeah.
It's a progress. It's a progress of acceptance of knowledge as well, of wisdom and insight and realization. But the more you develop yourself, the more you understand the entire picture. And sometimes just need to trust yourself and in the laws of universe, because it is actually, there's no other path. There is only step 1 from step 2 to step 3 and step 4 and step 10, wherever that ends. But it's a sequence of things that leads you to this wisdom. It's something like that. Because when we are in grade 5, we think that, oh, we know so much. And then we get into grade 10, we think, oh, wow, I know the world. And then only when we do the masters, we're thinking, look here, there's so much out there. Will I ever be able to really know? It's something like that. So gradually you expand yourself.
So meditation is a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a process.
It's a process.
And because Buddhism is about following the middle way, wouldn't what he said be kind of, it would make sense that you want to follow something in the middle?
No. What he was saying was maybe there's a in between the two extremes.
Yeah.
According to what he was trying to say, these two extremes would be very, very pure, the complete, not acceptance,
Well,
the complete
neglectance.
sorry?
The complete neglectance. Basically, you say like, oh, this is hard for me, I'm not doing it at all.
Yeah.
The other thing is to be like completely ascetic, to be free of any desires, hate or lust and delusions. And in between these two extremes, I guess there's all the gray scales between black and white, And,
But the problem is, life after life, we follow the gray.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Life after life, we follow the gray, the middle. But this is not the middle that Lord Buddha was talking about, because the middle is also one extreme. The middle path is a complete different thing. It's a complete different thing.
Okay.
Because in this gray that we are actually talking about here, it's only a temporary solution. It is only a temporary solution. As long as you see it as, okay, this is all I want, it's fine. But in the long run, there is a problem. There is a problem. That is the problem. That there is a problem.
The problem is you might have to come back and do all this again.
Yeah, again.
Okay, I see.
And then again, and
Well,
again.
What about tuning the instrument? You either go to one extreme and the strings are too loose. Whether you have the guitar or something, that's what some of the examples that are giving in the teachings, no? And the other one, it's like it's too tight and then it breaks.
Yeah.
So, what about that aspect as far as the golden middle path?
Yeah. Exactly. It's like if you loosen it too much, then your mind just goes and does whatever it wants, and you don't really have the right tune. And if you tighten it too much, then what happens is the strings break. So the middle path is analyzing both of these and then staying away from the gray, because gray is the easy way out all the time. The gray is what we choose all the time.
The comfort zone.
It is the comfort zone, and it is because of the comfort zone that we are actually having suffering in the first place, you see? Because we don't want to get away from our comfort zone. Getting away from the comfort zone takes a lot of effort. A lot of effort. It's detachment. That is the thing. But when we do detach, then we find peace. But it's only after detachment that we find peace, not before. So that's why it's like we want the cake and we want to eat the cake at the same time. We want to have the cake and we want to eat the cake at the same time. That is the comfort zone. That's what pulls us to samsara. That's what pulls us to samsara, the stream.
What does samsara mean?
Okay, you can take it as life after life, this
Okay.
process.
Repetition.
Yeah.
Okay. Samsara, S-A-N or S-E-N?
It's actually S-A-M.
S-A-M.
It's written as S-A-M, but it's pronounced as Sansara.
Samsara.
You can even write as San, S-A-N.
Okay, S-A-N, S-A.
S-A-R-A.
R-A, okay.
Samsara.
We talked about that.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, take this one. This one is much better. Sorry. It's blue, but it's really good. It's a good pen. Sorry.
Should get rid of those ones. Oh, that's better. Yeah. So, any other points, any other views that you would like to share?
I find that through meditation also I'm more focused in my work and also what I'm doing. Of course, enough sleep is important too, but I mean, just being alert and awake and conscious when I'm doing something. And aware and focused and in the present, in the moment, like awake and really alert and really concentrated on what I'm doing.
It does give, meditation has so many benefits. It definitely does give you that as well. That's what it has. It's like a different steps, different stages. You will experience different things, and then when it gets to the top levels, you're able to see in 4 colors.
4 colors.
Yeah, as the example I gave you before.
Which 4 colors?
Instead of white, or the example should be instead of white or black and white.
You can see grey and you can see blue, or it's just you can see more wider. You have a wider perspective, a wider horizon, a broader horizon.
But, regarding this topic, one thing that you need to be careful is authenticity, the authenticity of self. You need to identify it for sure, definitely. But not get too much into it, because the problem is then what you will be doing is you will be branding yourself with things. I am a person of this, and I'm a person of this, and I'm a person of that. You do that only to identify the root cause of things. But that doesn't mean that you drive the roots even further down.
It's giving,
Okay?
and it's the value of authenticity.
Yeah,
and
you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but I think that the authenticity discussion usually comes from the fact that, at least in the Western culture, we are so much in our heads. And discovering the authenticity in yourself is usually connected to getting access to the emotions in your gut. And using this as a source of, to guide you in a way, to have like this inner wisdom to know what's good for you, when you're making decisions. And I mean, as a second step, obviously, there's different forms of voices usually that arise, and some are good and some are bad, and this through meditation, you discover the distinction between like, why do I have this desire in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be the second part of it.
exactly.
But first part of it, yes, would be that. Okay. As long as one is able to differentiate these two, even later on, that is fine. Because otherwise, it is a catch. It is a huge
True.
catch. Because it's like, trying to cure something and taking excessive medicine of the same kind.
Well, just like mindfulness has been turned into
Yeah.
a huge brand.
That
all
is
over
the
the
thing.
world.
That is what I'm.
Yeah.
That is actually what I'm trying to do in my Dhamma talks, is to give people this whatever it is, whether you accept it or not, that is not the thing. But at least you will know that there's another part to this. Because mindfulness now is just so, how do you say it, Peggy? Can't even begin to say it.
It's been used to sell.
It's been used not only to sell.
It's commoditized.
Yeah.
I guess commoditized. Yeah.
Sorry.
Anekoda Pinsidara. You did a great job today. Thank you. So
මම අද විතරයි බඩු ගන්න කි. සඳහන් යනවා.
නේද ලංකාවට හරි.
ලංකාව කට්ටිය ආව ගොඩක් පිළිලු එකට. අර ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ.
Auch? Schon da?
Ja, ja.
Oh, echt?
Ich nehme ein Bild, ich zeige eine Kiste.
Auch schon da, alle unten?
Ja?
Alle unten?
Nee, ich nehme ein Bild.
Ach so, ja, genau.
Nachher bin dann noch hier.
Ja.
නෑ අතනක් තින්නවා කමක් නෑ.
Ini kita. Nachher bin dann Kiste nach.
Alle schon da?
Ich zeige Ihnen Kiste.
Ja, das ist gut. Ja, ihr seht euch
අනිත්
ja.
එක නාරෙකට ගිහිල්ලා භාවනා කරනවා.
Ihr seht euch.
Alles gut, ja?
Smells like food. Smells like food.
Yeah, it smells like food.
Can I ask you what you think? I mean, I know transcendental meditation. I've heard of this. This is all-
Transcendental meditation, what is that?
It's a hip thing from New York.
I don't know. I saw it. I was walking on a street in Berlin and I saw.
Transcendental meditation, what?
It's,
Can you describe it a little bit? I will explain it to you. I don't know the word, the name.
It connects more to yoga, I guess. It involves movement. It's for people. I don't know. There's a doctor who's also very famous and does talks on YouTube and stuff, and he does also transcendental, and he has HDSS, and so he's kind of like, he finds a hard time like being still, and so I guess transcendental meditation involves more movement, gives him a better way to relax and calm down. But it's in a way, it's usually the way how it's taught is usually one-on-one, and so you get like a personal trainer if you go for this meditation. It costs thousands of years to get the basics of it because it's one-on-one and it costs a lot of money. So it's more like it feels like it's more a cult than it's not.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. One needs to understand, like when you go to India, you will know this, even Sri Lanka. There's so many types of meditation. So many types of meditation. But it's just that one needs to identify what are you meditating for? What is the purpose of meditation? For you, for yourself. Okay. When you identify that, then you can choose the type of meditation that you really want. Because for some people it's just, I just want to relax, that's it, I have a very, very tough job, I have a very demanding job, so I just want to relax sometimes. And that's also fine. That is also fine, because meditation wouldn't normally kill someone unless practiced in a very, intense or some crazy manner. So it's good in a lot of ways, but purpose, it's always to do with the purpose.
What is the purpose for meditation?
Because there are yogic kind of priests who have been meditating for many years, maybe thousands of years, and they're actually rooted in the roots of the trees have gone over their body. That type of people also do exist.
So is it a kind of a hypnotic thing, this transcendental meditation?
No.
I don't know.
I don't think it's hypnotic thing.
I think it's not hypnotic. In the way that he was describing it, I think it's more
Motion.
with motion.
I don't know that much about it,
But I have heard that it's very expensive. I'm just wondering what exactly it is. I mean, it seems like something, it's like yoga or meditation to make money, but I'm just wondering what the, I have to look at it, but just kind of looking, I mean, how do you say, looking at the options, discovering how, because you said there are so many types of meditation.
it's like taste. Sometimes it's not worth also to be discovering. Just, go with something that you feel would help you. But for that, you need to identify your purpose.
I'm not sure, but I think it's very often the same with sports. You start a new sport and you're thinking about buying the most expensive equipment because it will give you a better, ride or whatever. And in the end, the equipment doesn't matter. It's the fact that you practice and you can do awesome stuff on crappy equipment as well.
Yeah.
It's just really.
It's the way how you look at things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would be going from one meditation to the other technique and another technique and not discover anything.
And being like
you're in the process of meditation, but not really meditating.
Okay. Oh.
Which doesn't make any sense sometimes.
So is the reason why there is so much conflict and fighting and war in the world is because we haven't solved the conflicts and the wars and the tension that is inside of us?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, that is very true. Basically, it's the point. The world within is messed up. Obviously, the world outside is messed up.
Because the world outside is a mirror of the world inside.
Inside.
Yeah.
And then there are people who influence us to a great extent, isn't it? It could even be karma, that one is influenced by good or one is influenced by bad. We also make the decision, of course, to it by great leaders who have influenced many people, either to do real bad things or either to do real good things. But that again is also a decision, an individual decision. So tell me about your experiences in meditation, when you were doing when you were actually meditating. What did you feel? What did you go through? Were you able to be aware of awareness, or was it difficult, or what? How?
Here or in general?
Here first and in general, or general first and here later.
Well, I think sometimes I did some. I didn't start meditating here. I started in a Sri Chinmoy center in Berlin, and there they sang. They sang and actually singing I find gets the mind stop, or at least it gets us to be concentrating in a different place, because music is a way of kind of getting us into another state of consciousness. And it was wonderful, actually, just to be able to just stop the thoughts, actually, or maybe not hear them, or not let them be so penetrating in our minds and in our beings. And also, I find that meditating in a group, you feel the group energy. It's really kind of a real kind of a meditative, calm force, or an atmosphere that is spread, so that you feel. Sometimes I feel more calmer when I meditate with other people in a group than when I meditate alone.
Okay. And for you?
I think for me, it's really helpful that it's a guided meditation. So if you're talking and saying these sentences, because I think I'm sure that they help me to kind of get back to my breathing and stay there. Because, for example, when there is silence for a really long time, and then you say again a sentence, then I'm just realizing, I'm in my thoughts, and I want to come back. So it's really, really good, I think. And I already feel that I can stay with my breathing and not thinking so much. So I already feel an improvement. And especially afterwards, after the meditation, the feeling is so calm, and you're just sitting there, and especially in the morning. I think.
That's good.
Yeah.
And
just one question. What was the Vipassana and the concentration meditation is called?
Concentration meditation is called samatha. Samatha.
For me it's kind of like I think I do have the consciousness to see when I'm actually having a thought and when I'm actually getting drawn into this thought and developing a story, and then can refocus myself. I think what I did in the beginning, like years ago, I was really just like to really focus on breathing and force myself to concentrate in that way. But in this kind of forcing myself, I'm just avoiding having thoughts at all. And I think that's not the intent. The intent is to let it flow, and so letting go of the forcing myself to focus, but being more, how do you say, loving kindness to myself in a way, to accept that I have thoughts and I get drawn into them, and then just training on the letting them fall and pass by.
Exactly. And that's what you should also maybe progress yourself in. Just watch the thoughts as they, don't tell yourself, this is wrong guidance from many teachers, unfortunately, is to say that, don't have any thoughts. And nobody could be without any thought unless they, develop themselves into some higher position. So when you're basically starting, and for some long time, you will have thoughts coming in. It's not this question of thoughts coming in. You just need to be aware that this thought is coming in and let it disappear. Let it just follow by, and just be aware of this breathing. And the thoughts will come, and let it go. Don't build stories with them. And even if you have noticed building stories with them, then what you do is you noticed that you are actually building stories with them. That's when sati comes in. Suddenly something snaps and then tells you, oh, I have been thinking about this, and I've been writing the emails, I've been taking the phone calls, I've been doing my shopping list or whatever. And then you slowly take it back to breathing. And you do this process has to be a very gentle process, not telling yourself off or anything. Okay? And same thing. And this harmony, this music, Karmasthana music, the once we sing, last time or one before that, I was singing the stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not really called singing. It's there's a nice word to it. I forget it right now.
Chanting?
Chanting. And that way you are able to stabilize samatha, which is to do with concentration, which is to do with awareness. You stay with the music, you stay with the awareness. That is one way to help you concentrate. But then you have to build yourself into analytical things when the thought comes, and then you see the thought fading away, arising, lasting, and falling.
Set the thoughts free, send them off with love.
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking, suddenly, Peggy hasn't come here. What is she doing downstairs? That's a thought.
Yeah.
And to be thinking on the thought is a different thing. Is she preparing lunch now? Is she busy with that? That's a story.
Yeah.
So what you want to do here is just be out of the story for a minute and only be concentrating on the breathing.
So when you say don't build a story, do you mean don't elaborate on the thoughts?
Elaborate on the thoughts.
Okay. Don't allow the thoughts to develop into something bigger.
Yeah, and then you build attachment to it. And then you build desire to it.
Yeah.
And then you think, she said this time, this day, and whatever. And then you start to have all this aggression and hate and all sorts of things building in as well.
Sometimes also when I meditate, I listen to music. It's nice also, just don't want to sing. You can also listen